Rahmulus is one of the all-time greatest Mythic Legions figures because of the paint. Now let's take a look.
DorkLair!
As of recording this video, we are in the midst of the All-Stars 5 voting season, and some people are out there wondering, why is everybody talking about Rahmulus so much? Is it really that good of a figure? Is it only hyped up because it's hard to find and the aftermarket for Rahmulus is just, absurd? Or is there something else to it? And I thought, hey, I have never done a review of Rahmulus. Maybe I should do that and give people a new look at this figure. Now, I did pick this figure up used. I bought this figure, one of my earliest figures, actually, back in the day. It was probably shortly after the Coliseum wave released, and I bought it, in the Cabal or on a Facebook group. I can't remember exactly which, and I don't have the packaging. But yeah, we'll take a look at the figure itself. We'll do some usual review things like comparisons and stuff. The first thing I want to do is I want you to see it next to a 1.0 figure. So the original 1.0 figures and then the subsequent waves are quite different. They're the same molds. They were all the same molds, but that's the key, is that, in my opinion, I think that after the first wave, they were able to take the molds that they had already had, that they had already paid for, and then they were able to add a lot of paint applications, a lot of different colors and finishes. And if you look at the figure, it's just so much more dynamic. There's just a lot going on. And, for that reason, I really do I tend to find that the Covenant of Shadows, the Coliseum figures, there's just a lot more going on, a lot of different finishes and so on. So that's one of the main things I wanted to point out is, this is essentially a repaint with a few different parts of Vitus, but it's one of the best painted figures out there. It's so darn good. So let's take a closer look here. Okay, so let's think about the finishes here. We have a glossy black helmet, essentially, with a few different colors going on. We have a glossy black chest that matches the helmet. And then we have glossy black boots. And in addition to the glossy parts, we have these flat paint finishes over here, like the skirt piece and the loincloth. They are a much different finish. So having these mixtures of flat and gloss really just adds a lot of dynamic visuals to the figure. And then the other thing about the paintwork on this figure is sort of the weathering and the shading. So if you look at the belt in the black areas, you'll see there's a lot of nice weathering going on. There's browns in the cracks and stuff. Just gives it a nice worn feel on top of that matte finish of the belt with every little detail painted on there. Then you have the loincloth with the fade from black into brown. It's just a very unique look for Mythic Legions figures to have that fade on this particular belt. And they do it again in the boots, where you have this transition from black shininess to this brown, worn out, dirty feet. In my opinion, Mythic Legions always have excellent paint. So for me to say this one is above and beyond all the rest is just really incredible. I love this figure so much. You have this other colored arm over here. It's just a very intricately painted figure with so many different colors and shades and finishes. You've got that pauldron there and all that gold trim along there. And there are some really cool parts here for swapping. Some of you might remember my video where I took Magnus and Bromden and combined them together. Well, guess what? Those feet would be perfect on here. In fact, I don't love the way that there's too much gold. If I had an extra Rahmulus, I could put these feet on there. Really good for parts. It might not seem it from the start, but there's some awesome parts here for kit bashing too. All right, let's take a look at Rahmulus next to a few other figures. First up, here he is next to his Mercurian brethren. We have Vitus on the left and Deltigar on the right. Next up, we have a couple nearly stock figures with a couple custom add-ons. On the left is Mytibius with the baseball head sculpt by EM Custom Parts. On the right is Sir Gerard with soft goods by Harker Customs. Here we have some straight kit bashes, both of which use Purplor parts. So if you kind of look at this, we essentially have an entire Purplor here, or close to it. On the left is a Barbarian body with Purplor armor and a Magnus head. On the right is a Purplor body with Black Knight parts. Here we have a couple Conans. On the left is the Super 7 comic book Conan. On the right is the Mezco Frank Frazetta Conan. And a couple other lines to round it out. On the left we have the Dead Frame Skeleton Lizard guys from Storm Collectibles Golden Axe line. And on the right we have Boba Fett from the Movie Realization Tamashii Nation's Samurai line. For accessories, he does come with this sword. This is the standard large sword, and it's got a sort of flat black handle and a silver blade. And he also comes with a spear that's in roughly the same paint scheme as that sword. He comes with a shield, though mine is broken. I bought it broken, and I knew that I was getting a broken one, so I've actually never bothered to glue a handle back on there, because I tend to pose him with the spear, but it's, it's a gold shield with a little bit of black wash in there. Looks pretty cool with him. But I tend to prefer the spear anyways with this particular character. And of course he does come with the typical leather strap. Rahmulus has your typical 1.0 style articulation. It's a head on a ball joint and it can twist. The pauldron is pegged into the back and that can actually go up and down. Arms can come out into a T and they can swing all the way around. Single jointed elbow has limited range. The gauntlet can spin all the way around. Horizontal hinge at the wrist, and of course you can twist the wrist as well. Got your ball joint at the waist over here. He can go side to side, he can twist, he can crunch forward quite a bit. He can go way back. There's no upper torso articulation like they introduced in the 2.0 figures. Legs can kick forward, they can kick backwards. There's a twist at the upper thigh. He can go way out into the splits. Single jointed knee comes up to about 90 degrees. There's a twist below the knee, twist at the ankle. Foot can point down, foot can point up. Lots of ankle rocker there. So yeah, good range in the feet. Typical 1.0 articulation on these. So I hope this video gives you a sense of why during this kind of all-star season, people are pretty hyped up about Rahmulus. It is not just because of the scarcity. That does play a part, but this figure has a really incredible paint job. I don't think a lot of people realize it just from the photos. They just kind of see the Mercurian head and they say, oh, another Vitus or another Deltigar, and they don't really know what the paint job looks like on it. It's just phenomenal paint work. And if you want to see my overall thoughts on the All-Stars wave, check out this video right here. And until next time, may the Force be with you.